Okay, so I hope everybody's Friday is going well. I know we're almost done with class.
The arrows just to go to the next one.
Sure, arrows. But we got a strenuous situation for you. I'm gonna put you guys through boot camp. Okay, you ready?
What's your name, Sergeant?
I am your furry drill sergeant, Yellowcake.
You can pull the mic away from your mouth
A little bit.
Yeah.
I am a nuclear jackal, but also a protogen sometimes. And I've been making fursuits for 2 years now. I actually quit my auto mechanic job about a year ago to make suits full time, and I'm still doing biomedical engineering at Akron. So it's been pretty hectic lately. So how did I become a furry and start making suits? Well, firstly, there's me, there's the full suit, there's the partial, and then there's the VR avatar. You can see how close it matches. From cosplay, that's how I got into being a furry, from cosplay. I've been making cosplay since I was at least 7. I've made costumes all the time as a kid, and even when I didn't have anywhere to wear them, like, because I didn't even know that conventions and cosplay was a thing back then. It was just like Halloween costumes to me, and I would make like 5 costumes a year, even though there's only one Halloween. So I've just been obsessed with this stuff for a long time. Obviously, discovering that cons were a thing at 17 totally blew my mind, and discovering about furry cons later on further blew my mind. And in case you guys are wondering, my cosplay maker name is Chuzzlepuff. That's also my @ on like everything, even though my son is Yellowcake. So we're going from like early on. This was in 2017. These are all Shovel Knight bosses, actually. This was around 2018-19. I ended up just making Shovel Knight himself. On the right here, you can see you can see the cursor. That's Silver Chariot from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. On the left here is a Mimic from Dark Souls. That's very heavy. It's like 40 pounds and it's all fiberglass.
Looks more like a Dragon Quest mimic to me.
It could be. Well, okay.
Mimics are mimics.
There's an old game on the PS2 called Maximo, and the mimics in that game are like dogs. They bark and they chase you like dogs. So this is kind of a cross between the two. And then far right there is Pyramid Head. Actually made like 3 Pyramid Heads. I'm kind of obsessed. This mic needs a better pop filter.
Yeah. Maybe pull it away from us a little more? I don't know.
Sorry. There is Ornstein, Dragon Slayer Ornstein from Dark Souls. He's not done yet. I built it all like 3 years ago, and I became a furry, and I kind of just left him sit. He still needs some detail painting and some chainmail, but he might be at Colossal Con this year, so
Flashy.
We'll see. Yeah, very flashy. And this is kind of the transitional period where I started making fursuits and was still making armor. This was when the magic happened. There's another picture of Silver Chariot. Transitioning into fursuits. I'll be honest, I decided to make my first fursuit just randomly one day. I have no idea what prompted this urge. I just, I'll just give it a shot. That link is for a Sky High Studios video where she shows you how to make bucket heads, and I watched that video and I followed the tutorial and added my own pizzazz to it, and that's how I got started. Partway through building my first suit, I went through a breakup, and that was when a friend invited me on a Telegram, and it was immediate craziness from there. I dove right into the fandom full on and haven't looked back since. Here's kind of some progress of the head. That was after foaming. This is with all the tape on it to do all the markings, and then transitioning that to fur. That's loose fur on the face, and then there's it finished. So my first suit. Firstly, it's always recommended that you practice new skills on your own stuff before giving it to clients, before offering it to clients. So everything on Yellowcake 1.0 is hand stitched because I didn't have a sewing machine back then. He also has very bad ventilation, which makes him difficult to wear for a long time. So once again, this is why you want to practice on your own stuff before you offer it to people. I also used just garbage like bubble wrap and like crumpled up paper and pool noodles for the digipadding. That was much too stiff, so later on that got yanked out and replaced with proper foam and polyfill. There's the first bodysuit, which, mind you, a lot of these details here you wouldn't even be able to use a sewing machine on them if you wanted to. You have to hand stitch small details like this. Just long paths you can do with a sewing machine. And that was like the first day that I got them done, and then that's Colossal Con last year, actually. In my opinion, suit making is kind of like making battleships. There was a battle tacticianer in the 1900s that, so there was 3 factors you got to balance: speed, power, and armor. Think like JoJo stands, okay? You add one and you take away from the other 2. In suit making, I see your 3 factors as being comfort, durability, and appearance. His suit is all appearance. I'm sure it's not, well, and durability, but I'm sure it's not very comfortable in there. And to be honest, I'm kind of the same way. I make my suits with big features, and they're not that comfortable to be leisurely in. But some people do want suits like that. You know, smaller ears, smaller features, soft back heads that aren't as heavy in general, and you can, you know, lay down and just relax in them, and they're not quite as hot. You can move around easier. Also, obviously, having digi legs is going to make things a lot harder to move compared to plantigrades. So my commissions that I've gotten done, over the last year I've done about 12, I think like 8 full suits and a lot of like little parts for people. A full suit will typically take me anywhere from 100 to 150 hours. That's kind of the standard from what I've seen from makers, unless you're making something crazy like that. And I can usually cram this into like 2 or 3 weeks. It's because you don't have to drive to work, so that helps. Anything that requires hand stitching, though, like those detailed patterns or wings, that's always going to be the most time consuming compared to being able to use a sewing machine. That was my first commission suit. That's a bunny in there. This was actually before I became a furry. That was my ex that she wanted me to make her a houndoom. So it's a very non-conventional fursuit because I didn't know how to make fursuits. I was kind of using cosplay skills for it, so it's a weird mashup. There's Mace the Bat, the other Mace. I wanted to make him the biggest wings I possibly could. That is Jax the Fox. That is Zell the Goat. That is a Serval, a digi-Serval. Those triangles took forever to stitch. That is a Moth, Zero the Moth. That is Darkeith the Durg. There's a lot of details on his bodysuit. I don't have any pictures of him though. That is Sheba's head. If she ever talks here, she's also a suit maker, but she commissioned a head from me. And Yellowcake 2.0, which is the second head that you see over there. Several improvements were made to my suit since the original build. Firstly, I fixed all the plantigrade stuff with the pool noodles, changed it out with foam. I also had Velcro in the back to my first bodysuit. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea because I couldn't get in and out of it on my own, so switched that over to zippers eventually. Changed out the feet paws with better padding and made the new head with really big ears. That's the partial. So the sleeves going up to the end of the bicep works really well with t-shirts. Just chilling there. That was at Megaplex this year. Upgrade. And now for Protocake, who is also over there. I got Protocake done about a month ago, right before MCFC. In case you guys don't know, Protogens, they're a cyborg open species created by Malice Rizu. The helmet was 3D printed by a model made by Zillian Ross. And the armor that I made is a fiberglass Pepakura model that was originally from the VR chat avatar made by Nikarita that I modified. So if you compare my VR chat avatar to my actual Protogen suit, then you'll see how they look exactly the same. And all of the Arduino scripts for the face were made by JTingF. I can press buttons on the, you can't see it right now, but there's a button on the side to change between facial expressions, and that's all. That was all handled by JTing. There's the full proto suit next to Mace, and it's quite heavy. It's all fiberglass. There's a 12-volt battery pack, a 12-volt lead acid battery pack actually in there. There's a 200-watt amp in the chest too, and those speakers on the hips that you see right here, and they're very loud. I actually brought them to a con, and we had like a little rave pregame at MCFC with them. But it's not comfortable. But and there's the model that I made the armor from. You can see the similarities there. Yes, cuteness in VR. So on to the juicy bits. Commissioning fursuits. When you're ordering a fursuit from a maker, you should definitely find one that fits the balance of those 3 stats I was talking about that you want, depending on what you want, as well as the style that you like. I would also recommend, if you have a friend that has a suit by that maker, you should try that on first and see how you like the fitment, because odds are they're going to make a similar suit for you. Wait times can vary between makers, mind you. Larger makers usually take anywhere from like a year to 2 years, sometimes longer. Smaller makers usually get done faster, but you're taking a little bit of risk. Sometimes smaller makers can do amazing though, even if they're new. So if they have 1 or 2 suits that look really good, don't be afraid to go with them. My pricing personally, just gonna toss this in here. I'm sitting around about $2,000 for a full digi suit right now. Price breakdowns right here, about $700 for a head, $375 for feet, $600 body, etc. Any extra features, like if you have some crazy patterns or something, that'll be a little more, but this is generally the standard price. Supplies for like a full digi suit usually are around $500 between all the foam and thread and fabric and all that stuff. I usually do a half up front, half on completion, but every maker has their own policies. So make sure you read the documents that they give you with their policies before you go through with any deals. And as far as fur sourcing goes, I get my fur from Big Z Fabrics. Shipping usually takes about a week to get here. Their long pile fur is about $26 a yard, and you need about 6 yards to do a full suit. Usually it's much more though, because if you have some weird patterns, say you've got 4 colors, well, they only come in yards, so you're gonna have to buy a lot more. There are some other suppliers like Hal Fabrics and Fursuit Supplies. They charge a little more though, and I also, if you need fur for the face, Big Z is probably the best way to go, because Big Z has a very thick base for their fur, so you can shave it down a lot for the face and it'll still stay nice and thick. Although it is a little bit hotter because of that, but it looks really good. And I would say avoid Joanne Fabrics fur if you can. The backing material tends to be quite coarse. You might be able to get away with it if it's getting glued to a head or some piece of foam or something, but if it's part of the bodysuit, it's going to be up against your skin. You really don't want to have that coarse material.
Or as I refer to it, roadkill.
Yeah. Or they'll have strips too, like just little sections of it you can get. You don't want to use this stuff. Just buy a yard. Like you'll be so happy. You'll get a gigantic cube of fur. It'll be the best thing ever for like $200. So whether you buy or make your fursuit, you're also going to need some things. They vary in price. Some of them are really necessary, some of them not so much. The necessary things, you need balaclavas. He's wearing one right now. They're cheap. Well, they're cheap if you buy them in bulk. You're probably going to want to buy them in bulk, because if you're wearing a suit at a con, you're not going to want to wear the same sweaty balaclava for 3 days in a row. So
you want at least 2 sets.
I have like 20. You want Under Armour. Also wearing Under Armour. Oh, you got actual where it's supposed to go, under the clothes. Yes.
Yeah, I would not be wearing my clothes underneath the suit.
Don't wear jeans and suit either. Just wear some like shorts or something. um, Lycra gloves. Do you have any Lycra gloves?
No, I don't.
Okay. When your hands get sweaty, trying to get in and out of paws.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
I use the wrong type of Lycra when lining my paws, and it makes it a pain to get on it. Right. I use the wrong type of Lycra when lining my paws, so makes it a pain to get on and off when I'm all sweaty.
Yeah. So there's the lining that's attached to the inside of the paws, but you also want just spandex Lycra gloves that you're wearing all day, because you can slip the paws on and off over them really easy. They just glide smoothly. Yeah, so that's the liner that's stitched in, but you also want a pair that's you just wear underneath, and then when you need to take your paws off to do stuff, you leave the other gloves on. Just makes it a lot easier to slip in and out. As far as keeping your suit clean, some parts are machine washable, at least on my suits. My heads are not machine washable. You can usually get away with getting too stinky if you spray out immediately after you're done wearing a suit. And you do that with usually 50-50, 71% isopropyl and water. And if you get to it right away, you can usually avoid the stinkiness. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I use on my suit. I use antimicrobial Febreze for spraying down the inside of the bodysuit, the boots, the gloves. I use isopropyl solution for spraying the inside of the head. I used to have a supply of end back, but it's hard to get it by the can.
If you want the mic, you just ask.
Yeah, I'll just speak up. That works better.
That works. That works. You can also buy like pre-made suit sprays that have fancy fragrances and stuff in them, but 50-50 works fine. Plus Febreze if you want. Febreze has the fancy chemistry stuff.
Yeah, use the antimicrobial version. The scent is a little less obnoxious, and it also kills off whatever you've tracked into the suit.
Oh, hey, I'm learning something today. Awesome. And a boot dryer. You're going to use it for a lot more than boots, though.
Yeah, I usually have to haul around a box fan because that's all I've got. But I really should get a smaller blower.
The boot dryer I have has two tubes that can stick up, but I can wedge the neck of my head around it to dry out my head, and it dries out stuff in like 15 minutes. So the process is you give everything a spritz with whatever cleaning stuff you want, throw it on your boot dryer, it'll be dry in 15 minutes, switch to the next thing. You're gonna have to do that with your paws, your feet paws, your head, and you gotta fold the suit inside out to spray it. It's a lot of work. Because if not, you're gonna end up with a really stinky fursuit. And there are some more things that help but aren't required. You can get these hang air wetsuit dryers, and it's basically a clothes hanger with a fan in it, so that really helps to blow out fursuits. And some fragrance if you're making your own fursuit spray. Also personal fans, you can get these little tubes from Walmart that have little lithium batteries in them. You can just shove those in your maw, and those help to keep you cool. And tail bags if you want. I offer tail bags. If you have a tail that's big enough, you can just strap a bag on there, and then you don't have all your sweaty stuff in your pocket getting marinated with you. Slicker brushes. I think I glossed over those. You need those. Some people don't like to use them because they rip fur out, but like I've been ripping fur out for a long time, and there's still plenty left. So there's the boot dryer, balaclavas, shirts, and there's those gloves I was talking about. Duct tape dummies. If you want a full suit, you're gonna have to get a duct tape dummy. You guys all know what a duct tape dummy is? Yeah? Okay, so it's not fun. A lot of people think, oh, that looks silly. No, it's not fun. You're gonna be.
It is not.
You're gonna be stuck standing.
It is not. You get very tired holding your arms out like this, and if you let your arms droop, as like I did, you're going to end up with some issues in your suit.
Yeah, you're gonna be T-posing for a while, probably like 1-2 hours. You should get 2 brooms and just hold the brooms. That usually works. I've got like sparring swords, so I just make people hold swords to do it. There are other ways to make a suit. You could get everybody's sizes. I'm sure there's some old school makers that do it that way.
Yeah, Waggery Costumes does measurements.
Yeah, and that makes it a little easier on you, but really getting a DTD, you're going to get a perfect fit every time. because it just perfectly molds to you. Some people use Tyvek as a base because you have to put something on you that's not sticky first before you stick a bunch of duct tape to you. Usually people use Tyvek. I actually use Saran wrap. I think it just works out better that way. And you're probably gonna need around 3 rolls of duct tape to do it, and the brooms, like I said. And then you got to have a friend cut you out. That's the sketchy part. Don't use regular scissors. You got to use bandage scissors that are like nice and soft on the one side, so you don't stab each other. But if you're crazy like me, you can use an X-Acto knife. And I've cut out like 8 people using an X-Acto knife, and it's all been fine. One of them was drunk too, and I managed to pull it off still. So.
What a lovely combination.
Yes, and they will be sweaty and disheveled by the end, but they'll be ready for being reborn into their fursuit. It's like going to Burning Man or something. Also, don't forget to draw all the markings on before you cut them out, because you'll have this perfect symmetrical thing to do. And I usually do it out. I usually cut them out autopsy style, so go right down the middle and then go down the crotch. That's always sketchy. And you go down the inside of the legs. There's one. I didn't have any pictures of mine, but so if you want to make a fursuit, I say just go right in. Like I said, I stuffed my fursuit with trash, and it was still successful. Above all else, just have fun. If you're uncomfortable making parts from scratch, like some people don't want to do the bases, many makers will sell foam bases, obviously. There's also 3D printed head bases. There's 3D printed eyes that you can buy. Any step of the way that you need done, there's a maker that'll do just a part of it for you if you want. Here's an example of some 3D printed resin bases. If you want to just start messing around, these are the basic tools you need. Hot glue gun, right?
Yes, hot glue gun.
Oh my God, I've used like 4 hot glue guns throughout the last 2 years, and they didn't die early. I just used them that much, and a ton of hot glue, but it's cheap.
At minimum, you want Gorilla hot glue sticks. Preferably, you'd use AdTech industrial grade hot glue sticks. The regular old hot glue sticks you use, no good. Will fall apart immediately.
So recommend getting a big hot glue gun and not like the mini ones?
Yes, you do want a full-size hot glue gun.
Sometimes the mini ones are nice for getting into those hard-to-reach places, though. Because the thing, like, there's a big thing in the maker community where like glue bad. No, glue good. Glue good in the right situations. Glue is really good at bonding fabric together.
Whatever you do, don't use barge in your head.
Yeah. Don't use any chemical sort of adhesives, because like if it rains, it's just gonna fall apart.
I mean, barge and E6K will hold together. You will poison yourself with the fumes.
Yeah. Well, like I just said, don't use any chemical spray, but I have here Super 77 spray. Let me explain. Okay, hot glue doesn't like to attach urethane foam, the upholstery foam, very well. Like it'll do it, but you have to hold it there for like 2 minutes until it's totally cold.
And it's not good for anything that gets flexed a lot.
Yeah. So you use the Super 77 to just stick your stuff together real quick, stick the foam together so you can keep carving. But when it's all done, then you got to use hot glue or seal it in some way to actually properly adhere all the parts.
Yeah, I think 73 is a contact adhesive.
Really, any contact adhesive will work. It's just that Super 77 is like really, really good stuff.
Yep.
It's expensive though. It's all like Pentacan.
I think if it's 73 works beautifully as well.
Yeah. Just get some spray adhesive. You're gonna need it. Tack up both sides and they'll stick right together rather than having to wait 2 minutes to attach one chunk. You're gonna probably need some paintbrushes too, especially for the eyes. A pair of dog grooming trimmers. These can get kind of pricey. You can get a really fancy pair of oysters for like $100, but there is one type of groomer that I've used that actually lasts a long time. It's like $30. And I know some people will like scold me about that, but I'll show it here in a minute. You need some cheap scissors for cutting weird stuff and some good fabric scissors for only cutting fabric, because the urethane foam dulls stuff really quickly, especially those snap blade razors that I actually glossed over.
Box cutters.
Box cutters. I have probably like 500, 600 used ones now. I just in my room. I don't know what to do with them.
Yep. I actually have kind of an assortment. I have an assortment of tools for working with foam. For really big cuts, I use an electric fish scaling knife. For slightly smaller but still large cuts, I use a large titanium bread knife to saw through the foam. After that, I switched to using a box cutter to do carving, and then I smooth away at it with a set of cheap scissors.
Oh yeah.
And then to finish it off, I use a Sureform tool to smooth it down all the way.
The tools can get complicated, but
And then you can use a Persona blade too for some stuff, but hey, it comes down to the individual.
I want to see your workshop.
or my boxes of tools. I lost a bunch in the move.
I didn't post any pictures of my workshop, but
In fact, actually, if you want some tools, I'm kind of parting with everything.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I got plenty, but we'll see. So yeah, just make sure you keep the crap scissors away from the good scissors because they'll get ruined very quickly. But if you're nice to them, I've been using the same pair of fabric scissors for like the whole time, and they're fine. These are those clippers I was talking about. You should get a nice pair of oysters, but if you just need to do some trimming, these guys are actually pretty good from the factory. I got a pair of wall dog trimmers from Amazon, and they were dull like immediately, like out of the box. So don't get those. These are those X-Actos I was talking about. I use a lot of those, and I use a lot of other things on top of that. But these will get you far.
I use a big industrial metal cased one with replaceable blades.
Yeah, you can get those too. You can use the disposable ones, or you can get a one and just replace the metal parts for it. It ends up being about approximately the same price. These you don't really need a super fancy glue gun. These work just fine. But you were saying there's that special type of glue that you use?
Yeah, AdTech makes an industrial hot glue that is excellent. And if you can't get that, get Gorilla hot glue.
Gorilla hot gorilla. Okay. We're all furries here. Okay. Basic supplies you need: consumables, Eva foam, like the gray floor mats. I use that a ton for cosplay, but a lot of makers also use it for the soles of their feet. I'm sure that's what yours is made out of, right?
Soles of my feet are actually hard rubber tiles.
Well, that's in here too. We'll get to it. that's how I make my sandals actually. You also need upholstery foam. Usually it's green or white. That's the squishy, soft, ooey gooey, furry stuff.
The green type is usually a firmer type, whereas the white type is usually softer. There are other differing grades within that too.
The green type also wears your blades out faster because it's just like thicker, but it's a lot more like just squishy.
It's higher density.
Yeah. It's also more expensive. And foamies, these are also Eva foam. They're just thin, but if you're not 3D printing your eyes, you're probably going to be using foamies to make them because 3D eyes are kind of like the norm now. Or you could have a 3D printer and you could just print the whole head and the eyes that way. Which, by the way, Ender 3 printers are like $160 now. So Yeah. Oh yeah. I use them a ton. Zippers. Yeah. You can do high like super high tough zippers.
Yes. Get the marine grade boat cover zippers. Those things hold up very well. If you cheap out on zippers, they will jam, they will split, they will make your life hell.
Because the fur, like, you're in a fursuit, the fur gets caught in zippers a lot. Unfortunately, you have to choose between, like, looks or durability / usability, right? If you go for a hidden zipper, it's going to look really good, but you're going to get fur stuck in it sometimes, and it's not going to be as tough compared to the ultra heavy duties. And then fur, obviously, it's usually either called long pile or luxury shag. You can sometimes get away with punky muppet or gorilla. There's a whole lot of weird names depending on what vendor you're going for. And you're probably also going to need fleece for your liners, like the inside of the hand paws.
Or if you're building something that has skin or scales, you are going to build it out of
fleece, right?
The best fleece is Polar Tech 200. The second best option is Anti-Pill from Joanne.
Anti-pill if you can.
Do not use Blizzard fleece. I cannot stress this enough. Yeah. Do not use it.
That's the kind for like sweatshirts, right?
And it's just terrible.
Yeah. Pilling is, when fleece is just kind of old, the like top layer of it starts to roll off, and you end up with these like little like nodules on it. That's pilling. So you want to get the anti-pill if you can do that. And then any other fabrics, like you obviously have a ton of fake leather on there.
Do not mix types of fake leather. Polyurethane fake leather and vinyl do not get along. That's why there's a bunch, you'll see later on, there's a bunch of touch-up paint on the yellow portions of my suit because the pigment leached out of the claws.
Chemistry. You wouldn't think it's that important for suit making, but oh boy. So there's your bulk EVA foam for the bottom of stuff like your feet. There's the foamies for eyes, and there is your upholstery foam.
In fact, there's actually a really good source for upholstery foam that's in our region. There's a place called the Foam Factory just outside of Detroit that will sell you bulk foam. They'll sell you foam in smaller sheets, whatever you want. Closed cell, open cell, polyurethane, polyethylene, polypropylene. They have it.
Something. again.
Acoustic
This is why I love
foam,
hanging out with furries.
Yeah, acoustic foam, futon mattresses. Yeah, they have it.
Should have got some while I was at MCFC. It would have been like around the corner pretty much. Okay, head features. Several types of head bases are common. Bucket heads, which is typically what I do, soft backs, which are a lot lighter, and resin or printer type heads. Resin heads are the best for moving jaws. They're not quite as comfortable and not squishy, but you have a nice hinge joint if you want to go around and talk. There's three common types of eyes. There's the old school type where it's just a flat eye, simple. There's 3D follow me eyes, which is what I have, and most suits nowadays have that because the screen is right up against your eyeball, so you can see the best. You're not looking through a pinhole. And there's the realistic type, and I believe you have the realistic type, yes, the glass type eyes, and they are beautiful. Realistics are the way to go if you are okay with a little bit of lacking vision, although you see out of the mouth, don't you?
I see out of neck vision on this suit.
Okay. Usually, realistic eyes have duct vision. There's a little black spot in the middle, and that's
Baragon and the Mosasaur had tear duct vision.
Yeah, so if you want a realistic head, they look great, but you're not going to be able to see the best. Once again, trade-offs, right? There's also a fourth type called kimono eyes. Those are very popular in Japan. I tried making some, kind of screwed it up. Might try again later. And there are obviously a ton of other features that can be added to heads, like you can have Velcro tongues, which I have. You can have resin or fleece teeth. You can make silicone noses, fake leather, fleece noses. You can have Velcro eyelids, magnetic eyelids, any sort of features you want. I mean, I'm sure there's a million other things. I mean, your suit is completely non-standard for how a typical fursuit looks. So,
yep.
Like, there's literally nothing holding you back. We're talking about manipulating matter in the universe. You can just do whatever you want. Like, so there is 3D eyes. That's the kind if you used foamies. So you can see in the edge here, I have that taped together. So this is just that thin foam glue together. And then I forgot about a thing, buckram. This screen here is called buckram. You can use like just window screen from Lowe's. I think I used that on my first suit, but the holes aren't as small, so you might notice it when you get close. Buckram has a really fine mesh on it. It's clear though, so you have to like build up the paint on it to get the colors to actually come out. But when you put a head on with buckram, you can see out of it just fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start making sure I'm not screwing anything up here because you obviously have a lot to interject with. There's some more of the realistics. And these are kimono eyes. Looks like they've been a little stuffed up. Yeah. Usually people make kimono eyes with googly eyes. You cut the front of the googly eyes off, but it's really weak polyethylene plastic, and it scratches pretty easy. Okay, body types. I should make this 3 because there's plantigrade, which is comfy, just a human figure, flat-footed. There's digitigrade, which you use foam padding at the knees, at the calves, and that kind of gives the illusion of the extended foot to ankle anatomy that any four-legged animals have. You can also achieve this look with digi-stilts, and those are stilts. They're going to make you a little taller, but then you have your foot up off the ground, and the peg at the digi stilt is where the animal's foot would be, and that looks the best. Zippers for bodysuits typically extend down the front, unless you're like me and you're stupid and you put it in the back. And
or me, for that matter.
Or you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And I also usually put zippers on the arms because you can't get your hand through arms typically. It depends on if you want your arms to be flared out or if you want to be like tight against your wrists. And I also tend to get nylon strapping that you would get for just carry a backpack. I line all of the holes, the neck holes, the wrist holes, the leg holes, all with that to reinforce it because fur is kind of stretchy actually, and you'll end up stretching it out. We don't have something to keep it tight around those edges. And then the third type of suit is everything else, everything that's non-standard fursuits, like
mine.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, okay. There's a fourth type. There's the not everything else, but then there's also quad suits. Quad suits are crazy. People have like pegs on their hands and then on the back legs, and they walk around on all fours like that. There's literally no limits to the creativity. It's amazing. Just as a comparison, Jax is a plantigrade, and this is a digitigrade. You can see the difference there. Tails, hands, and feet. Tails are usually stuffed with polyfill, but you can also make solid foam core tails that make them very springy, and those are called supermotion tails. Smaller tails, just that you would usually see at cons, are usually attached to belt loops and just kind of hang between your legs. Larger tails can be sewn directly onto kidney belts, which are like these super wide compression belts. And that helps to spring them up and maintain their posture a lot like supermotion tails. It's just, I've realized why they call them kidney belts now. It's because they make you have to like pee really bad because they squeeze your kidneys. Hand paws can be any number of fingers, whatever you want. People even make hoofs, buy hoofs or, usually 4 works pretty well. You only want 5 if you want like full dexterity, but just for some reason, 4 fingers like feels better than 5 in a lot of ways.
I usually play giant monsters with big old meat hook fingers, so I only have 3 fingers per hand.
Yeah, you like technically have 3. Yeah. Technically have 5.
Yes, technically. That's technically 5, but my fingers aren't in those.
Right. Where are we at? Yeah, so claws can either be made from fleece, 3D printed, made from leather, whatever. And the pads can be fleece, leather, or even silicone. I've actually got silicone paw pads on mine, and I actually cast them with, what was it? Not thorium. Yttrium aluminate.
Strontium aluminate?
Strontium aluminate, that's it.
Yes,
you got it.
Yes, not zinc sulfide, strontium aluminate.
You know your stuff, buddy. Yeah, and it's like a really good glow in the dark, like UV charging material. So
actually, I did bring my UV light with me. So
I didn't bring my paws.
Show that off.
I'm sorry. Where are we at? Yeah, so feet paws. They can be unfurred on the bottom, and those are called outdoor paws.
Parade soles.
Yeah, those are outdoors. Obviously, you're not going to care about them getting damaged because all it is like no one's going to see it, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of furries like feet, so sometimes you want your feet to be feety. So in that case, the bottom of the feet is finished with paw pads and everything, but you have to have sandals to not ruin them, and ruin them quickly you will.
I have a set of them. With Emil, I decided to specify a set of those for photo shoots and then have a set of parade soles for general wear.
Yeah, that's usually the way to do it, is to have 2 sets. How I do it is sandals. That flooring material that you actually use on there, that hard rubber. That's what I use for my sandals, and I rivet nylon strapping onto those to Velcro it on.
It is a pain to cut this stuff.
Yeah, I use an ankle grinder. It's pretty tough stuff. So most makers will do their digi-suits going all the way down to your ankles. So the knee pads and the calf pads are all part of the digi-suit, and you just put your feet on separately. I do this. I think a few other makers. Yeah. So yours go.
Down to the ankle.
That goes all the way to the ankle.
Yeah, it goes all the way down to the ankle.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah. See, mine go to the knees typically. I'll stop the bodysuit around here, and then my feet actually go up to that spot. I just think it makes getting in and out of suits a little bit easier. It's totally up to you though. God, that thing is amazing. Are you gonna start getting it on now? We're almost done, so I'm almost done.
Okay, I guess Frost, can you help me? I'll try.
I think now's the time.
I just saw someone from out there looking, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
I wonder what he's thinking.
Let them judge. We're having
Yeah.
fun.
Okay. No rush. I keep the crowd going while you get it all set up. Okay. So here is an example of a super motion tail core. You can see how the foam is just made in sections to be all bouncy and waggly. And there's just a standard husky tail. Goes right into the belt loop or something else. There's a pair of my feet that I was talking about, how they go up to your knee. They're actually goat hoofs. Yeah, hoofs. But another reason why I like making my suits this way is if you want a partial, you can like wear shorts and wear these and then wear sleeves, and then if you're just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, then like every part of your skin is covered. So like, yeah.
Not poopling.
Yeah, I've heard at some cons they have a problem with you showing any skin at all. It's like if you're wearing a suit in any capacity, you have to like be completely covering yourself. And yeah, it's called poodling. I don't think it's as much of a problem now as it did nowadays because I don't know, people just chill. But yeah, there's just an example of sleeves that I made and a pair of hand paws. That was for Trivian. And electronic fursuits. You've got lights in your eyes, obviously. Who doesn't like glowy things? Lots of makers offer this. I mean, it's not too hard to attach wires to a battery. So you can get, and I mean, nowadays, for $15, you can get a huge roll of LED lights with their own microcontrollers in there. And all you gotta do is hook it up to a battery. There are a few good options that I use. Electroluminescent wire. It looks really cool because it's just like a string of light, but it's loud because it's an oscillating AC signal at like 1,000 hertz. You can hear it like ee! So if it's in your ear, it's gonna like, if you have anything in your head that's like that, it's gonna be annoying. WS2812 LEDs are individually addressable LEDs, so you can make any color you want. And you can make any like pattern you want down the strip, do pulsing if you learn a little bit of coding. Talk to your makers, see what they're comfortable with that. But there's all sorts of stuff you can do. You can sew these WS straight into body suits or whatever suits you. The pinnacle of electronic fursuits, like currently from what I think, I'm sure there's some insane stuff out there, but Protogens and synths are generally the most electronic out there. The face displays in the most simple Protogens are Arduino microcontrollers and Max 7219s. But those are single color. So like for mine, my eyes are just green on my Protogen. So I use the Max 7219s. But you can also get full RGB ones, and those are a little more pricey. But honestly, now they're getting so crazy that some of these makers are printing their own their own custom PCBs to fit into Protogen visors that have like thousands of LEDs on them, so they can basically just have like a TV in their face. It's getting awesome. This is kind of the forefront of it. Having a 3D printer is important for this stuff. Obviously, my whole shell for my Protogen, I just 3D printed, and you can even get conductive 3D printer filament now. You just print circuits straight into the head. So yeah, there's the shell of it before I did anything to it. There's a little bit of EL wire, a little EL wire Protogen face. That's I have cameras on the bottom of a prototype Protogen that I made because I wanted to have VR vision in it. Would have worked, I just couldn't fit everything into the head. So it's still a work in progress. You can see these are the 8x8 7219 matrices for the faces. And I was DJing the other night, so yeah, that's where we've come. That's a synth model that I just picked up offline. Gonna have to give some credit to the maker there. I'll have to find that, but yeah. So above all else, this is this final slide. Above all else, if you want to get into making suits, just remember there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like I cannot stress that enough. You're literally just like taking stuff and like turning it into stuff. It's just having fun, right? It's art, whatever. It's the most artistic, whatever. I'm like, as with all art, sure there's some things that are like that will make it easier, that are objectively easier. You know, if you need to learn a little bit of figure drawing or something, that can help. But like in general, it's just you and your creativity. The little things you can learn along the way should just help you, but they, you know, don't let them get you down if you feel like you're not performing well enough. I mean, you guys make your own characters, right? If you're a furry, you probably made your own Sona, and that's already half the creativity right there. I'm kind of just a factory. Like you make your design, and I'm the factory that has to make the real thing as close as possible to what you want. But trying to achieve that on your own can be like really fun. There are a lot of makers out there, and we're always finding new weird ways to put things together. I mean, I learned so much from him already in the 30 minutes or whatever that we've been here. So being in the fandom, being around these kinds of people, you're always gonna be learning stuff from each other. And the basic tools you need to get started, I mean, you saw how much that stuff was. $100 or so, go get some Eva foam, go get some upholstery foam, get a hot glue gun and a whole lot of hot glue and some needle and thread and just start doing stuff. Yep. All right, guys. That was at Colossal Con this year. The next one's in a month. Oh boy.
I wasn't able to get a hotel room, so I'm not at Colossus on this year.
We
Next year.
We camped 2 miles down the road. I just leave that picture. Well, we'll go back to that, but in case anybody is interested, my Telegram, Twitter, and Instagram, they're all at Chuzzlepuff, which is, once again, cosplay name. And this hyperlink here, that's I don't think it's the exact same video because she actually got rid of it, but that's the maker that I first watched when I made my first head. So if you want to get started just like me, that's the link.
That's the same one I use too.
Yeah, right. Sky's great, actually. I love it. Yeah. Sky's great. Elk Dragon's amazing. Honestly, if you can't tell by looking at my Sona, Beauty of the Base is like a huge inspiration for me. I didn't copy her. That's not like a thing. I just drew some inspiration because it was like a combination of that and like a Half-Life HEV suit and just liking radioactive stuff. Yeah, I actually came up with my name first, and then I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's cute, it's cool, it's everything I want. That's my Sona. Perfect. Yep. So yeah, any questions, guys? I'm gonna go back to that picture there.
What was that foam factory that you were talking about? It's in Detroit.
Look up the foam factory.
Yeah.
Foam factory? And
Yeah.
you said it's in Detroit, right?
Yeah, it's in Detroit, so they ship overnight here.
Oh no, overnight. Wow. Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna order from them then because like it's not bad prices for foam from just Walmart. It's just like I buy so much foam from my local Walmart that they don't like have foam anymore. So
You said about.
yeah. So I'll be like waiting for the next shipment, and then like anytime I go hang out with friends like a couple counties over, I just raid their Walmart for all the foam they have. Okay, are we ready? Oh my goodness, look at you.
Joanne's also
Look
has,
at
like,
you.
sales on phone every so often.
Yeah, oh yeah. If Joanne's has a sale,
Yeah.
a 40% off sale, then it's a little bit cheaper than Walmart, but usually it's a little bit cheaper. The big boy.
The big boy.
Yeah.
I love your suit.
Oh, like,
So
oh my goodness, that's heavy.
Ah.
That's a big lapper right there. Oh, I'm getting wet. Oh no.